Hi, I'm Ollie Mitchell, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to use MIDI show control to control your lighting and sound consoles with QLab. One of my favourite features about QLab is the fact that it can control my lighting and sound consoles. The best use for this is to time lighting perfectly to music so that it will flawlessly work every time. We'll be talking as though you're controlling your lighting, but if you have a digital sound console with built-in MIDI show control, you should also be able to control that. First, you'll need to look in the manual for your lighting console and read up about MIDI show control and how to set it up. Once you've set it up, you just need to plug in a MIDI cable from your computer to your lighting console. This can be done using a sound card that has built-in MIDI, or you can buy USB MIDI devices. Once that's plugged in, you can set it up in your settings. So click on the cog, go to the MIDI tab, and make sure that your MIDI device is selected for MIDI patch 1. Now go back to your main window and drag a MIDI cue into your timeline. In the settings, you can see the different types of MIDI message that QLab can send. At the moment, it's set to send MIDI voice messages or musical MIDI. We're going to be using show control, so change the drop-down box to that. Now, as long as you've set up your lighting console correctly, you just need to type in which cue you want to execute. And then pressing go will execute that cue for you. If you look at the list of commands, there are many other options as well as go, but they will all depend on your equipment, so you'll need to look in your manuals to see what's supported and what's not. So now that you can control your lighting from QLab, you can put all of your lighting cues into the cue list, and therefore just have one operator to do sound, projection and lighting. But when QLab really comes into its own is when you start trying to time your lighting to the music. This is also very straightforward. All you need to do is set up your cues to go automatically with the music, and they will always run at the same time. So let's get an audio track. And we're going to have 7 lighting cues. We'll put them all into a group. And now I'll set them all up to execute the correct cues. I'll also number them so we know what they're doing. Now we'll set up the group to execute all cues at once. This means we can use pre-waits for each cue. Remember, this is better than using auto continues on each cue, because this way if we want to change just one cue's timing, it won't have a knock-on effect on the previous cues. So now I'll add the timings for each cue. I worked them out earlier, so I'll just type them in. And now we're done. Now if I press play on the group, you should see all of the lighting cues execute themselves at the right time in the music. Now that would have been very hard to do live, as all of the lighting cues are very quick and on very specific times. But with QLab, it's incredibly simple. Now that we've set this up in QLab, it would run reliably every single time that we executed that track. That concludes our tutorial on MIDI show control in QLab. As I said before, this is one of my favourite features of QLab. If you're running a dance show with lots of lighting cues in each song, for example, it just makes everything much simpler and more reliable. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.